in the darkest days of winter, when the fields are brown and bare, when the woods are emptied of their beauty, and all the world seems dead. He who may read how life even then is stirring in the leaves, how the great heart of nature is never at rest, how plain to feel in all the stillness is the beating of her mighty pulse. For even when the last leaves are floating down through the chill December air, their very death is a fluttering of life. The faded leaf is hurried to its fall by the swelling of the bud that will broaden into beauty in the spring. Those are the first couple of words of this article, Heralds of the Spring, written by F.A. Knight. In this book, this collection of articles written for the Daily Mail, which was entitled Idylls of the Field. I found it, as most of my collection, in the charity shop. It's not worth much monetarily, I don't think, but look at it, it's absolutely beautiful, and clearly very well loved as well. I have to be careful with it because the spine is a bit cracked through and the pages kind of are starting to come loose a bit. It doesn't have gilt edging or anything like that. And what I love about this book, aside from all of the beautiful illustrations and these absolutely fantastic end papers, is I love not just some of the illustrations are photographs, like this one, Castles in the Air, and like this one at the back. I can find it. And some of them are engravings that are fantastic by the illustrator is E.T. Compton, who, like F.A. Knight, I had never heard of before I picked up this book. Here's another photo of Lundy Island. It's all about places in Britain. And it was published in 1889. And what I love about this book is, although it looks very beautiful with the gilt title and the colour painting on the front, it probably actually wasn't owned by anyone particularly rich or wealthy. It was owned by Eliza and Lily Fielder, and this is the dedication. It says, "To Eliza, from her special friend Lillian Fielder, Southport, September 24th, 1892. So Lily probably only had the book for a little while before she gave it to her friend. And we know Eliza was either from Wales or moved here later on, because the second inscription, Jean Marchant, here it is. The second inscription says, Jean Marchant, number 9, Croft Cottages, Dolgarrog, Conway, North Wales. And I love this because Dolgarrog was just up the road from where I used to live. Hey, so Rebecca here. I actually forgot to talk about at this point that I went down a rabbit hole. I was proper obsessed with this book for a bit, and although I couldn't find anything on Lily or Eliza, I did find something about Jean, and I'm fairly certain I know who it is. So in 1914 there was a draft mortgage for John and Grace Mackenzie. It's in the Conway County Archive. I went through and looked at that, and it dated Croft Cottage from 1897 to 1916, when the original owners were Williams and Pierce. And then later I found out about Jean, who was probably born in 1928 in West Derby, and then moved to Ruthin in Denbighshire in 2003 to 2007, and we have a record of her marriage in 1966 to Anthony P.R. Tame, and she probably moved to Dolgarrog when she was young, between 1928 and 1966, and then lived there and then moved up to the coast to Ruthin. Well, I say up to the coast, kind of in Snowdonia area. So I just thought it was important. I actually know more about Jean and can picture her a little bit more in her life than I can Eliza or Lily, even though that to me is the more compelling story that Lily gave this book to her friend in Southport, either on holiday or somewhere else. Yeah, sorry. Thanks. And you can still see pictures. I'll try and put some pictures on the video of this cottage that's still standing, and they were very much working class cottages there. They all worked in I think the steelworks was open at that point, but if not, then it would have been the mines in Dolgarrog. And I love this because this is how people would have experienced the world outside like their own county. People didn't travel far. The holidays were, up the road, as we would call it. I mean, from Manchester to Rhyl. And if you weren't wealthy enough to go to somewhere like the Bavarian Highlands, which are also mentioned in the book, then this would be how you would see them in engravings and photographs and these little vignettes, the poetry and the descriptions that other people would give you who had travelled there, who were presumably either wealthier or commissioned to write about them, and occasionally just making things up out of the back of their heads, shall we say. But the thing that I really love about this, even more than the slice of life it shows into people's lives, I suppose, is something that my dad spotted, which is you can still smell, and I know video doesn't have smell, but you can still smell the coal on the pages. And I have this image of Eliza or Jean sat next to the fireplace, looking for a bit of escapism, and just like the rest of us do. And I think we could all learn a bit from that, having some tranquility and appreciating the small things and other places that we maybe haven't been. Thanks.